Hey guys, Dan here from Your Guitar Academy and welcome back to this course. Hey guys, Dan here from Your Guitar Academy and welcome back to this electric blues course. And now in Unit 4, we're going to be taking a look at the turnaround, some quick change blues, and just really before we move on to one final unit, I want to bring together everything we've learned so far and just progress a few ideas onwards a little bit. So give you some more advanced kind of bluesy information. In this lesson in particular, we're going to be looking at the turnaround because it's something we've kind of shied away from a little bit already in this course, and now it's finally time to properly tackle it and give you some great ideas for how to turn around the blues. So pick up your guitar and let's get started. Hey guys, so if you're just tuning in, then do remember that you can head on over to the website to get all of the interactive tab, the fretboard diagrams, and the full write-ups for every single lesson. It looks great on the mobile, on the desktop, however you're viewing it. Head over there and we'll put the links in the description and in this video. Also, please do like and subscribe to this video if you're enjoying it so far and if you're enjoying the course, as well as leave us a comment. We make sure we get back to every single comment that you guys leave. Okay then guys, so let's start talking turnarounds. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you two examples of a turnaround, but not before I've talked about the theory behind the turnaround. And we all know what a turnaround is. We've heard it a million times before. You know, it's something along these lines. You can have so many different styles of turnarounds, but you might hear this quite commonly. Or something like this. Or even. And there's various others. You might even do like a lead-based turnaround, something more like. Something along those lines. There's so many different styles of turnarounds that you can do. You can even do like a chord-based. This is the turnaround as well. So I want to kind of get into the finer details of what the turnaround is and really how you can understand it so that when you come to do a turnaround, you've got lots and lots of options. So first things first, the turnaround itself is placed on the 11th and 12th bar of any 12-bar blues, okay? So just to put ourselves in the right picture, imagine we're in A, and we've done our tracks that we've done up to now, and we've done the bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, then bar 3, just for the basics, bar 4. We know that in bar 5 we go up to the 4 chord, then we come back to the 1 chord in bar 6, 7, then we're over to the 5 chord, the 4 chord, and when we come back to the 1 chord here, this is when our turnaround starts, okay? And it spans for 2 bars, and at the end of every single turnaround, you need to be going to the 5 chord of some kind, okay? Now, basically what's happening with a turnaround is you're chromatically moving from the root chord and then resolving to the root chord, okay? And let me just kind of try and explain that for you on the guitar so it makes a bit more sense. So, for example, when I come back to that A, when you look at a turnaround, say for example like this, okay, what's happening there, and in every turnaround really, is that we're kind of chromatically moving downwards, okay, so we're always starting on the root chord. We're going to chromatically, and that just simply means note by note, go downwards 3 times, so 1, 2, 3, and then come back to that root chord again before going to the 5 chord, okay? And this can be applied with any note within your dominant 7th, okay? So let me just show you, all right? So imagine, this is your chord. So this is an A dominant 7th, and we've tackled this cage chord before, so we know this cage chord shape. A7, okay? And within this cage chord, we've got our root, we've got our 5th, we've got our flat 7, and we've got our major 3rd, okay? Now, the only note that will stay static is the root. We kind of want to keep the root where it is. That kind of holds our grounding. But the rest of those can literally go down 1 semitone at a time. And it doesn't have to be all of them, it can just be individually. So for example, if I took the root and I held that static, and then I did the 5th above the root, and I dropped that down chromatically, so 1, 2, 3. That would work as a turnaround. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then on the fourth one, I need to hit the dominant seventh chord again. So the major, just essentially the root. So again, A. Okay, so I need to make sure I hit that root again. No matter where you've ended up in your chromaticism, so 1. So I've ended up here. I need to now make sure that I hit the A anywhere. Here it can be the dominant A. It can literally just be a major chord A. But fundamentally, I need to come back to the A of some kind. So that would be a valid turnaround. So I've got my root kind of as my grounding, my bass. The fifth above it drops down 1. And then back to the dominant seventh chord. Okay. I can do the same thing with the flat 7. So here we've got the root and the flat 7. So I can go, there's the flat 7. I'm going to drop that down a semitone. Then drop it down another semitone. All the time the A is staying exactly where it is. And then I make sure I come back to the A7. Okay? All right, so we got... We'll get to that bit in a second. Equally, I can do it with the major third. So in this chord here, the major third is right on top here. Okay? So I can go... And then in this instance, to get back to the A, I'm going to come back to there. So, for example, okay. So you can see the fundamental concept is that my root stays where it is. Okay, that's where I've got back to. Okay, but I chromatically move downwards from any of the notes, and more typically a combination of the notes from my dominant seventh, my root chord, dominant seventh, so in this case A, downwards chromatically, 3 steps, and then come back to the A again. Okay? So what you see more commonly than individual ones is the cluster of notes. So in this instance, I'm literally going down, the fifth is going down chromatically, the flat 7 is going down chromatically, and the third. They're all just going 1, just down chromatically. I then come back to my A7, and that's that part of the turnaround. Okay? If you really wanted to get fancy there, you could try and do it, and I've done this on a couple of occasions, whilst also holding the root. So I'm going to do that same chromatic downwards there, but I'm going to hold the root in place. So it'll look like this. And then like that, which is kind of fancy. It gives it more of like a jazz feel, because you end up playing some really cool chord shapes. But for most blues players, you know, that will do the job, and that's a turnaround. That's exactly how it is. Okay, so you've got, okay, that is your most typical chromatic style turnaround. Okay, and interestingly here, you can do that anywhere. So let's say I took, for example, the A7 up here. Okay, so I could just, apart from the A, if I get rid of the A, I've got the major third, the flat 7, and then I've got the A root again here. So notice what's in here. So I get rid of the A, get rid of the A, just take these two, and I can just drop down like that. And then come back to the A there. I could do it literally absolutely anywhere that I can find that A. So here's an A, get rid of the A, keep the rest of the chord, the fifth, the flat 7 and the major third. Drop that down and then hit the A dominant 7. So hopefully you're starting to get the gist of that. Basically, all I'm doing is finding my dominant 7th chord, of the root of that key, and then removing the root, because that one is going to just stay solid in the bass or whatever. Or you can try and keep it in there and kind of refret the chord like I was doing. But for now, just remove it. Drop down chromatically by 3, and then play the closest A7 chord. And you've kind of resolved that part of the turnaround, okay? So that's really the basic theory. At that point, as soon as you come back to the A, or the root chord, wherever you're playing it, you're then gonna move up to the 5 chord. And a very, very common thing to do in a turnaround is go 1 above the 5 chord. So in this case, the 5 chord is E. So I'm gonna go up to an F, and then drop down to the E. Just creating that little bit of extra tension, and then coming back to the E, okay, which is then going to come right back round to the start of my 12 bar. All right. So you might end up with something like this. Okay, there's that really cool little shuffle. You don't have to do that bit where you go above the root and back down, but I really like it. So you kind of go, there's the fifth, you go up one semitone, and then back down, okay? So that's really the concept behind a typical blues turnaround, okay? The only other thing to consider also is that you can do a turnaround based in chords as well, a bluesy turnaround based in chords, whereby you simply go root, chord, 4, chord, root, chord, 5, chord. So you're kind of just shuffling through the 12 bar quite quickly, but that's for very quick upbeat shuffles, okay? For now, we're going to really dial in, focus in on that concept of the chromatic movement going down, because I think that's your most classic sounding turnaround that you're going to get in a blues track, okay? So I'm going to now give you two examples that I want you to learn. And the first one is exactly the one I just demonstrated. So from the 11th bar to the 12th bar, we're going to hit the root chord of A7. You're going to jump up to this cage chord, okay? You're going to remove the root and you're just going to take these three, drop them down, come back to that root dominant 7th, and then come across using that C-shaped cage chord on an F7 to an E7. So that's the first one. And you know, we will be going through this within a track in the next lesson, okay? So just try and absorb the concept for now. Almost lost my fingers. I'll do that again. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay. And if we did put that with some kind of drum beat, okay, so let's just put that with a nice steady 70 BPM. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. Do it again. 4, 1. And if you're feeling frivolous, you can kind of start. You know, you can start to arpeggiate through that. Literally just picking each three notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Like so. Okay. The other really cool version of a turnaround that I really like is this. We'll stick to the same bit at the end. But here, you know, this is another one. It sounds more like a kind of Delta blues style turnaround, but the same theories apply. Exactly the same theories apply. So we've got our root here. Sorry, we've got our root at the top. Okay? And in this instance, the root note is A because we're still in A. That stays at the top, okay? And down here, we're actually starting from the flat 7th of the chord, okay? So this is the flat 7. Okay, so it's exactly as I was saying before, but the only thing is we just kind of reverse the sound. So the high note is the root, is the grounding, where I've got my key, essentially. And then I just descend down, 1, 2, 3, okay, and come back down there. So literally, just descending chromatically. And that's great. That last note that we chromatically end on, okay, the E, gives you an A and an E, which is of course just a lovely power chord of A, so it's a perfect way to end. And then you come back to that. Okay. And you can either pick that with your fingers, something we're not going to go into in too much detail now, or you can strum it with the plectrum. When you strum it with the plectrum, you've got to do a lot of work muting the other strings. But that's another one you can have a little play around with now. We will be doing these in a track, so don't worry if you're not 100% sure. But you can see it's the same, you can hear it's got that same fundamentals of a turnaround, just slightly rearranged, but the concept is the same, that chromatic walk down with the grounding of the A, of the key, the root key, so in this case A, but you could just, if I was in the key of C, you could just find the C, come down here, there's your flat 7, okay, and then you can do your turnaround from there. So it's such a cool concept, this turnaround. So have a little go with that. Basically just try and just absorb that theory for the moment, okay? And just work with those two roughly for now. So notice that you're just still using your cage chord shapes for a lot of that, and we're still working with the idea of knowing, okay, I'm on the root here, I'm on the flat 7, I'm on the major 3rd. This is a consistent theme throughout this course, okay? So just try and get that together, and what we'll do in the next video is we're gonna come along and actually learn a track with a turnaround in it with a quick change as well. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please do remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We do our absolute best to answer every single comment. If you've got questions, here is the place to write them so that we can get back to you and really help you out with this stuff. If you want to carry on with this course and you're loving it, then you can find the next lesson right here, and you can start the whole thing. The whole playlist is here on YouTube as well. So click one of those two links and I'll see you in the next lesson.